got my little skitter thing that's hopefully going to protect me from all the skitters. I got my bends, got my notes, crushing it.
Now skitter, you mean like a mosquito net kind of thing?
No, so they got this new technology out.
New tech.
It kind of looks like a upright speaker, and then it has a top vent, and then it has some kind of heating mechanism and oil in it, which apparently repels mosquitoes because it puts a shield over top of you.
Huh. So
I don't know. We'll see if it works.
Yeah. See, I'm always skeptical with anything anything bug repellent that's not bug, just spray on bug repellent.
Well, I mean, I think that's just what you're used to is spray poison on me, and hopefully they don't come by.
Oh, of course, right? But like, because I've been tricked into that my entire life, right? I don't want to be tricked into, hey, don't spray the poison on you. Light this little thing, kind of ablaze, and then let it burn in the background. I feel like that's just a money grab.
I do find it funny when you read the actual instructions on the bug spray. It's like, definitely do not spray on your face. Don't spray directly on your clothes. Never spray it on your skin. And you're like, oh, I will do all those things.
I will do every single one of those things. It tells you to spray directly on your skin, but it says to keep it like 15 centimeters away. And to me, that's way too far. So I just kind of get right up there like it's spray sunscreen, and I really just go for it. Should we get into the show then?
Let's cricket.
Cricket.
Continuing tonight on Two Seas in a Pod. 96.7 on your
Two C's in a pod, 2 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 C's in a pod, because we're 2 C's in a pod, just like 2 C's in a pod, 2 C's in a pod at gmail.com.
That's a play on word for bugs, everybody. Bug spray, Ben's bug spray. That kills you slowly, but it kills them too.
It kills them too, which is what's important. You're tuning in here to the podcast, folks, on a beautiful morning. That is right. You're listening to Two Seas in a Pod. It's the only podcast hosted by myself, Cameron Osborne. It's also hosted by Cam LeClaire.
Yes, that's me.
Cam LeClaire, who is currently on location, and I don't know how he got there. I'm sure it's an amazing story filled with twists and turns, but Cam LeClaire is currently on location for the 2020 Tokyo Olympics, but you're not in Tokyo?
It's an embassy type situation. It's like if I was born in Japan on the Canadian embassy, am I Japanese or Canadian, right?
I actually don't know the answer. I actually don't know the answer to that. But you attended. So you are on location. We decided, similar to most news networks, they'll send somebody away to cover important events, and we thought over here at Two Seasons Pod it'd be a great idea to send Cam over to Tokyo to cover the games. However,
no sake, too early.
However, a lot of things got mixed up, and you did not end up in Tokyo.
Yeah, who knows what this place is?
Hopefully you do. Well, can you describe to me a little bit of what you're seeing around you, maybe?
A lot of bugs, forest, no pummel horses. I did see a horse that was being pummeled, but I think that might be a different sport.
That sounds like it's something different entirely.
Yeah, there is swimming going on, but that might be for survival. Who knows? Either way, we're tuned in for a great Olympic Games. I did tune in this morning. Watch the game of field hockey. Have you watched this before? You seen this before?
Well, Cam, if you recall, it was one of the options on your March Madness bracket last week, which you just completely bypassed.
Right, because I think it's a stupid sport, and I watched it this morning. Canada got smoked 7-1. So obviously it's not a real sport if it's called hockey, and Canada's not good at it.
Right. But did maybe watching it change your mind about whether or not it's cool?
I think it made it less cool.
Oh, it made it less cool.
There was at one point where a player got hit with the ball, and then he was like hunched over, and the commentator said, "Now, if the ball hit him below the knee, that's incidental. If it hit him above the knee, that's dangerous." I'm like, what the hell? What sport is this? What do you mean? Of course it's dangerous. It's sport. You should be almost hurt every time you play.
That's like a football. That's like John Madden saying, "See, if he tore his ACL above his waist, that's really not a problem. There's no ACL up there. But if you tear that ACL below the waist, there's going to be some real problems."
There's going to be some
One thing I love about the
consequences.
Olympics, too, is that they also kind of gather all the commentary teams from, all the networks. You'll have somebody from NBC, ABC, and they kind of combine everybody because they need coverage, but they'll have somebody who normally does... they'll always have somebody who normally does something like a football or a hockey, and then they throw them into the equestrian. Something where they absolutely have zero background in it just because there's not many people who have backgrounds in those specific sports.
I mean, yeah, I think they normally tie in one person that has some idea, but is just a terrible broadcaster.
Yeah, and I
they're
think
like, "Can you tell me what's going on there?" It's like they are riding the horse. I don't know what to tell you. It's like, I see. Are you sure that's not a pony? They're like, we're quite sure on this one, Steve.
I remember watching a swim, like a swimming race once, where they have to go back and forth throughout the pool.
That's how it works.
And then
they should make them bigger.
They get to one end and they push off the other guy, and whoever was on commentary actually thought it was like the end of the race. And so they're like, it's neck and neck coming down the final stretch. And then, it's like Norway they hit the end first. It's like, Norway gets they're one more lap.
They won that one, that's for sure, but they'll keep going. And that's what the Olympics is about.
The immediate backpedal, which was fantastic. But yeah, the Olympic Games are in full swing. The Euro Cup is over. And we're kind of, we're balls deep here in the month of July.
Yeah, we're past the halfway mark of the year. 2021 is we're on the back nine here.
We're on the back. We're on the back nine of 2021, of course, shaping out to be a great summer and fall, as I'm sure it will be.
Speaking of back nines, at the courts yesterday, 7 a.m., chip one in from, I think, 60 yards, loft wedge, over a river, over trees, in the hole. Unbelievable.
Who are you there with?
Alex Alguire.
Okay, as long as you're there with somebody. Because a golf story has no weight unless there's
I didn't
somebody
even
there
see
to
it
back
go
up.
in. I didn't see it go in. I chipped it up, and he went, "Get in the hole." As you yell to make sure the ball knows where to go, because otherwise it's blatantly confused. It only has 52 dimples. I'm not sure which one to point. And then a little bit of backspin, a little bit of Phil Mickelson, and next thing you know, I'm jumping all over the green. I'm trying to make divots in it so no one else can make a good a shot as I did.
And yeah, you've really exploded into golf this year, I feel, more than previous years. It seems to be all you're talking about.
Oh, yeah. It's, what is life? Golf and mountain biking.
Yeah, I don't remember you ever playing golf this much ever.
No, this is the year I've played the most golf. But this will be the year that I'm going to be the best, and maybe by the end of the year I'll beat my dad.
And then next year, you'll be on to something new, or you hope that you can keep this going? Because, Cam, golf is one of the more expensive, fun things that you can do.
Yes, it is, but I think you can make any activity expensive if you want it to be. So I'm kind of trying to do it on the cheap. Like, I have my clubs. I play probably a round a week, so that's like $35. So it's like, is it somewhat expensive? Yes, but I enjoy doing it, and it's like, it's not that I'm not going to I go to with some people, and I don't know about you, Cam. Some people will take me, they're like, I'd rather go to a really nice course, and then you end up paying like $118 for 18, and I'm like, I'm good. Like, that's too much money. Don't want to pay them.
When you're going on a week-to-week basis, you're not renting a cart.
No, I'll walk.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, that definitely carves off a huge chunk of the cost.
I'll if someone, like the other day I played with someone and they were like, I'll pay for the cart 'cause I just want to get this done early so I can get back to work. I'm like, okay. I said I would walk and he's like, yeah, that's fine, I'll pay for it. Like, cart's on me. I'm like, all right, I'll ride in the cart then.
Yeah, you really have to come to a pre-agreement, kind of like, no, we're walking it, or no, we're carting it.
Well, I mean, if it's a giant course and like if you're going to be boozing with your buddies and stuff like that, yeah, sure, get a cart, right?
Yeah,
But
if you're going to
like,
be boozing, you might as well put yourself behind the wheel, right, Cam?
Hey, those were your words, not mine. So clip that out. Anyway, yeah. Oh, yeah. So that happened, but I had another unrelated golf story to tell you. Still related to bugs, but we'll tie this all back in together at some point. But before that, should we get into our notes and amendments, Cam?
Notes. We got some notes. We got some notes. Notes. We got some notes.
Sounds great. Well, I think you want to do it regardless whether or not I want to. In the first place, nothing much to cover from last week's show, except
Probably an apology from me.
An apology. Okay, well, how
Right.
about I'll get to the notes and then we can hear your apology video or your apology audio. You can kind of address the crowd directly.
I'm sorry.
I'm dead.
I'm sorry.
We were just gonna mention we're talking about the price of cocaine last week is a price. I think it was something extrapolated from one of the headlines from last week about it was particularly expensive cocaine in the UK, and we were like, it was something like 100 pounds or something, and it felt like it was a bit much. Well, here in Canada, the average price of cocaine is probably about $85 a gram, which is much, much lower than the worldwide average. The worldwide average for like cocaine on a street gram price is approximately $125 Canadian. So Canada ranks amongst the cheapest places to buy cocaine on the planet, actually coming in the top 5. There's a top 5 for you.
Any reason why?
I couldn't really find anything why. It's just how it all kind of works. Maybe it's easier to bring it in to Canada. I mean, surely our dollar's value probably has something to do with it. Maybe there are there's a lot of cocaine users in Canada, on like a per population basis. So if you're a cocaine user, no better place to be doing it, I think, here in Canada, where you can just kind of shove it all up your nose, and then if you have a quick OD, that's okay because the hospital is free.
Yeah, Narcan's free.
Exactly, right? So to all you cocaine users
why do they
out
call
there,
it Narcan, right?
Because you're doing narcs in Canada.
That's it.
So if you're doing cocaine, keep doing what you're doing. That's all. That was really my biggest note, I think, from last week. But Cam, you have a big apology, you said.
Right. Yeah, mostly shit audio recording. You guys all know I'm not the audio professional here. I'm just the top talent that they pay millions to be here. Yeah, so I'll clean up my audio. We're gonna get a double stack, triple bypass, extra cable, security, triple hack system. That's gonna really fix some of that problems forever again.
Not a bad idea. Not a bad idea.
Yeah. Anyway, beyond the apologies, what was I gonna tell you? Oh, right. So go camping last week and I get a few black fly bites, like those horse fly bites on my ankles, right? Mm-hmm. And you know the ones. They swell up a little bit. They're big. They're red. Not much to them. Just itchy as all hell. So a few days go by, and I got bit on this Saturday. Go home on the Sunday. Monday, I see like a little bit of pus coming out of one. I'm like, that's fucking gross. Tuesday, the whole ankle starts to swell up. I'm like, that's not good. By the end of the day, I can't walk on my ankle.
Jesus.
Thursday or by Wednesday, like I'm really struggling to put any weight on my ankle. The thing is just like ballooning up. I'm thinking to myself, like this is probably a problem. So Thursday morning, go to the walk-in clinic. Infected ankle, cellulitis.
Cellulitis. I've never even heard of that thing before. I've never even heard of that.
Yeah, I've never heard of it either. But apparently, it's when you get a break in skin, then you get a little infection, and you get a break in skin from those big flies. Like mosquitoes don't really break the skin much, but the big flies, they take a big chunk. and then probably from scratching too. Next thing you know, get an infection. They're like, you need to go on antibiotics for 8 days. And yeah, then the swelling's already gone down. But hey, man, let me tell you what. I hate going to those walk-in clinics. I don't know. You been to one of those recently?
No, I haven't been to a doctor's office, kind of like medical place in probably since this whole time, 18 months ago, probably. I think like March 2020. Early March 2020, I had gone.
When you had that cough that just wouldn't go away?
When I had that cough that just wouldn't go away, I couldn't smell anything. I had no taste. I was eating onions, could not even taste them. I was just kind of like generally fatigued, also a little bit of headache. So I went into the doctor's office. Clinics are like generally. See, I think that's the thing with clinics too. Anytime I've been in a situation where you have to go to a clinic, you kind of just say to yourself, oh, okay, it's a cold or it's a flu, I'll tough it out and just not go. Because anytime I feel like I've gone to a clinic, one of those kind of public, you just sort of show up. The answer is always like, you have a
wait 1 to 2 weeks and come back if it's really a problem.
The answer's always like, you kind of have the flu, or like, okay, well, Advil and stay off your feet or something, and you're like, I could have I could have told me that.
Advil and pay off your Visa card.
Yeah, just sort of shit like that. But
See,
in your case, you went for a serious reason.
Yeah, but there's always just so many kids and just like, I don't know what I hate worse, going to the, get my license renewed or going to the walk-in clinic, because you just have to see every sect of society just not being happy about going to that place.
Yeah, it's one of those things, too, where I actually do not mind going to something like Service Ontario or anything like that, just because so first of all, I always do it on a day off, so I have nowhere to be. You'll always do it, you're well fed. I've got a bottle of water in my backpack, and I'm listening to a podcast or something, right? I'm always like, nope, this is what I have to do for the next hour and a half.
And sorry about the biker gang going by here. I'm not exactly sure if this is an Olympic sport or just a man with a motorcycle.
Yeah, motocross recently added recently added to this year's Olympic Games.
Well, there is something fun about going to Service Ontario too, where you get to just see the sect of the population who goes in and they're like, I need to renew my license. They're like, did you bring any documents? They're like, I have this picture of myself from 7 years ago. You're like, that's not a license. You're like, come on, man. And they just like, they're absolutely useless and they get so frustrated. There is something kind of fun about that, but also infuriating.
Well, especially now you can update your license online, or you can renew your license and your health card, actually.
Or they're like, it'll cost you $20, and they're like, Junk Ford, get him on the phone. And you're like, this isn't how these things work.
He has nothing to do with this, sir.
So at the clinic yesterday, this lady and her little girl come in. The girl is just screaming and crying. Actually, not screaming, just crying. And I'm like, well, she's walking fine, so she's doing better than I am. What's wrong with her? And they're like, she swallowed a bug, and it's still stuck in her throat. And I'm like, ooh, that's a bad one. And they're like, yeah, we can't get it out. And the clinic just goes like, we can't help you. You have to go to ER for that. And then she hears ER, and she's like, we have to go to the hospital. And it's just like, then she blows up, and the lady in the front is just saying, like, it's going to be okay. We just don't have the tools here, the big pliers that are going to get out of your throat and rip out the giant. I mean, and she's trying to calm her down, right? And I'm like, yeah, I feel bad for this girl, but also just, grab a coffee and swallow her down.
Well, also, and I'm not a parent. I don't know how to parent, but right off the bat, if my kid said something is stuck in my throat, that is a hospital visit. That's not a clinic thing, right? Something is stuck in your throat.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean,
you burst in the emergency room doors saying, my daughter's got something stuck in her throat.
Get every doctor that's in surgery to come to me.
There's going to be somebody who at least knows the Heimlich maneuver in a stone's throw away. You go to a walk-in clinic, there's one doctor in the back and one nurse kind of, behind, at the desk. That is not a good spot to make that happen.
Why is there only one doctor? And like the doctor, when I was there, I showed up at 9 and they came in at 10. And I'm like, why'd you open at 9? And they're like, get a list going. And I'm like, okay. Then I still had to wait after 10. I was there. I saw a doctor like 10:20. I'm like, this seems like a terrible system.
You almost would have been faster at the ER.
Oh,
Especially
yeah, but I mean...
that time of day, Cam, you could have gone in at 6 in the morning as soon as you woke up. Been
That's
like,
a good
I'm just going to
point.
bypass all of this. I mean, I've been to... What's the earliest? I'm trying to think. You went to Grand River, probably, right? Oh,
no. I just went to the boardwalk.
Yeah, when I went to Grand River, when I broke my wrist, I went on like a Thursday... 5-ish, 6-ish, and even so, I was out in a couple hours with a cast on me.
Damn. When I tore my knee and I went to Grand River, I was in waiting forever, or probably like 2-3 hours, and then I get to the doctor, and they're like, okay, we're going to take some x-rays, and they're trying to bend my knee. I'm like, it doesn't bend that way right now. They're like, just don't be a pussy. I'm like, it hurts so bad.
The doctor told you to not be a pussy?
Yeah, they're like, you're being a little bitch right now.
Wow.
Oh, my Lord.
Super unprofessional.
Yeah, sorry about this motorcycle, everybody.
Yeah, this is really interesting, Cam. That's what happens because you are on location, As you know, I very much so kind of live here at the studio. We sort of have a room beside the studio space that just kind of has a bed in it. There's actually 2 beds in the room, Cam. Yours often goes, just kind of constantly made untouched. Mine, for the most part, I just live here.
Some people choose to live, some people choose to die. First to live, last to die.
Yeah, I guess.
I don't know.
Jesus Christ, what's happening back there?
I don't know, man. It seems like the motorcycle's having some problems starting up, and I guess this person decided this is the best time of day to make a bunch of... Hey, this is what you do. You wake up and you make a lot of noise. That's what we like to do here at On Location.
One thing I love about being on location too is that there's like this thing. There's this constant like you go away for the peace and the tranquility.
The peace and the quiet,
isn't it funny
and then
that
chainsaws?
Yeah, isn't it funny that the places in the world where people retreat for the most peace and tranquility is also coupled with the most engines? Whether it be the
loudest engines.
Whether it be the engine of a chainsaw, whether it be the engine of an ATV, a boat, a ski-doo, a sea-doo, like the
leaf
most
blower. People love the leaf blowers up here.
The most possible loud things occur on the places where people choose to like almost retire to get away from it all. It's like at that point, you might as well just stand on the corner of Bathurst and Bloor because it will be equally as loud.
Just different noises.
It'll be equally as loud, I think.
Maybe equally as loud, but less disruptive because it's just everywhere. Here, it's just consistent, like in the distance, like.
Yeah, because I think, and of course, we went away for the corporate retreat. We were really far away from, I think, anybody else, sort of engines and things like that. And all throughout the evening, you would hear, or, even the daytime, you heard nothing.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it really was.
Unbelievable. Peace and quiet. Never heard of it.
Never heard of it.
Pussy shit.
Apparently never heard of it.
Should we do a little spin the wheel?
Let's do it. Let's spin the wheel and make a deal and move ourselves into the Wheel of Death.
Wheel of Death.
Wheel of Death. And we got a bunch of new questions on the block today. So, Cam, we got, I think, 8 categories. We'll go through them quickly. Category 1, Boo This Man. You haven't heard that one before yet, have you?
No, I think it was on a previous week's, but it just didn't get picked.
We'll take... Oh, okay, yeah. Jail Time. Baby, It's Not You, It's Me. Dirty Dives. Close Encounters with the Dead Kind. Put It in the Hole. Daydream Believin'. And Know Your Co-Host. Cam, let's go for a spin.
Let's spin it, baby. I am scared of a lot of these, half of these, some of these.
Put it in the hole, Cam.
Oh, I was scared of this one. God damn it. Okay.
All right. So, Cam, would you rather hit a hole-in-one with ball golf with no one watching, or hit a hole-in-one with frisbee golf with no one watching?
That's a good question. Well, when it comes to the hole-in-one when nobody's around, it all has to do with how much you are trusted amongst the people you're going to tell. For example, right, Jess's brother hit a hole-in-one last May-ish or
Which
something. Ball golf.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
He was golfing by himself. Nobody was there. And then you're asking yourself the question, well, shit, do I trust the kid? I mean, I do. I like to trust that people will tell me things and not lie to my face. But like a grandfather once told a friend, the only person you can lie to is yourself when we're playing ball golf. You look at that score. I mean, yeah, when we went away on the retreat, I shot a 104, and guess what? It was a 104. I wasn't taking away strokes. I didn't, walk away from a couple triple bogeys like you did, Cam. I tried to play the most honest round possible. So I think when it comes to what would I rather do, I'd rather be believed than anything else. If that does that kind of make sense? You see where I'm going here?
I hear where you're coming from. I just don't know if anyone would like. I think if you were lying about getting a hole in one, I think you'd have I think you would be lying about a lot of other things, and people just wouldn't believe you, because that's like it's kind of a weird lie to tell. It's like, yeah, one time I got a hole in one. I was like, really? It's like, yeah, 7th hole.
So you're like, I can bench 350.
Yeah, and
I've
had
sex with 60 people, and I hit a hole in one. It's like, which one's a lie?
Right.
Yeah, that is a good question. I think, God, they're so actually kind of on par, because they are both super, super, super difficult. I think at this point, yeah, I would rather hit a hole in one in disc golf. I'd rather hit an ace there, probably just because I play it more. Just because I do play it more. However, the people who I do know who've been playing for a long time, they have multiple holes in one. At
it's
disc
easier
golf.
to get, in my opinion.
It would certainly be easier to get, right? But certainly an achievement that I would much more rather do, Cam. The round of golf that we played at the corporate retreat was my first round in probably 16 months. It's not something I do often, not something I brag about.
How incredible would it be then if you only played once every 16 months and got it, though?
I mean, that would be incredible. God, they're super, super, super close, and I would say disc golf gets the edge just because, like, that's something I want to do. You know, I could shoot a 104 for the rest of my life and be totally happy because I had a great time doing it. But disc golf is something that I do like trying to get better at. So I think that just gets the slight edge just because I play it more often.
All right. Let's take that one. I'm glad we got that. Glad we cleared that up. Mm-hmm. Give it another spin, Cam. Ooh, dirty dives. Cam, I know you watch a lot of YouTube videos, and you end up going down the rabbit holes of Catfish, Ink Master, and all the Paramount Network shows.
Paramount Plus, baby!
Paramount Plus, thinking about getting it myself, not sponsored. Cam. Oh, I'm getting hollered at by, apparently I'm the anchor man that needs to become the woodman, 'cause wood's getting loaded in this odd country. Cam, what bar in Waterloo is in most need of Jonathan Taffer's Bar Rescue series?
What bar would be in need of a bar rescue?
From Jonathan Taffer.
From Jonathan Taffer. Thought it was just John Taffer. That's a good question. I mean, whenever they make over bars, very, very, very seldomly is it a bar made for young people, right? More often than not, it's, like a place where adults would also go. Not a place where fluctuates the time of year it's busy. Not a place where kind of students come and that's it. There was one episode there in New Orleans, and it's like the whole thing was like the carding thing, and that so it was like it was a student bar. But very, very seldomly is it actually a student bar. Now that being said, Phil's I think has to be the go-to choice, right? Phil's, which is like dirty, grimy, and gross, but people say it like that's a point of pride.
Yes.
Like, they're like, oh, it's like the floor is wet and there's asbestos on the ceiling, and you're like, no, those are two huge negatives, especially being
People
an
love
adult.
that.
Especially being an adult now. Like, I would absolutely never go back to that place, right? And I think John Taffer would notice that. He would say, yes, people like coming here between the ages of 18 and 21, but then as soon as they're done, they're like, I never want to step foot in that place again. So maybe
Correct.
it kind of falls into that bracket kind of right there, where, yeah, Phil's could use a huge upgrade. Still, I mean, you know, you can't change the location. It would still be a basement of... of a building, right? So it's still going to have that kind of seedy underground. You can have like an underground vibe without a leaky bathroom. So yeah, I think this is a no-brainer. Of course, Chainsaw RIP was perfect. It needed no rescue. But Phil's obviously has to be the one to get rescued.
Okay, good answer. I was going to say there's some other contenders on there. I've heard some people say the Wellington, as well as the Ethel's Bar and Grill.
Ethel's okay. Yeah, you are right about Ethel's. I don't hardly consider that one a bar, though. I consider Ethel's to be more of a place where you go to sit down. Which is very important to John Taffer.
I don't know. I thought
no,
Ethel was a
there's
bar
no
for a
like
place.
there's no like dance floor, or because you walk in and it's just L-shaped bar around, then tables in the back with like the pool table or whatever, and then the big patio.
I don't know. I think that's a perfect bar for bar rescue based on what I've seen from the show.
Good point. Yeah, you could be right. That is a good one.
All right. We want to do one more spin?
Yeah, give me a spin.
All right. Daydream believing, Cam. Now, you're not someone who's too gullible, but at times we can all be a little bit gullible. Now, what's the most ridiculous thing that someone has tricked you into doing or believing? I'll tell you mine quickly.
Yeah, please. Yeah, I'd
First
love
one that comes to mind.
I'd love some inspiration.
Someone told me that there was a girl in my high school whose last name was Naylor, and then they, really simple, stupid lie, but they said, oh, her uncle is Dave Naylor, the CFL analyst, which I'm like, that's a completely believable lie. Turns out they just made that up on the spot.
Yeah,
I told so many people about it.
There's a difference. People often forget, too, the difference between, like, joking and lying. Like, it's telling somebody, hey, this person with last name Naylor related to the CFL analyst. Just kidding. You're like, no, that's not a joke. That's a lie. Structurally, there was no joke in saying, Ashley Naylor's uncle is a CFL analyst. That's just, you're telling somebody a lie on purpose. Which, so people don't quite necessarily understand that difference. I really don't fall for stuff like that, especially in my later days. Of course, any of the examples that come to my mind are just straight from like when I was a kid. Like when I was a kid and I watched Independence Day, my dad told me that it was real. He was like, no, he told me it was a movie, but he was like, yeah, the aliens actually blew up the White House for the movie. And I was amazed by that, because by that point I would have known Jurassic Park was not real. So I understood the concept of special effects in film, but then for that one in particular, he was like, no, they actually blew up the White House for it. And I was like, wow. At a young age, my dad also told me that if you wear a hat inside, your hair will die and fall out, and you'll go bald.
I've heard that one before, yep.
And that is one where it's like, really, that was his kind of like, sneaky dad way of saying no hats inside. That was pretty much all he was trying to say, or like no hats at the dinner table. But as a kid, I was like, oh my God, that means I cannot wear a hat. And even to this day, I don't like wearing hats inside, just because I think to myself, I think the fear of going bald is greater than the fear of, like, you know, whatever I believed that he said. Yeah, of him possibly being right. It's like, I don't want to test it, especially now that you get a bit older and you start. I mean, you're certainly when you're approximately 30, you hit the age where you start to notice that you're like, oh, that guy wears a hat all the time. And then, you know, he's worn a hat for years. He wears a hat all the time. And next thing you know, he takes the hat off and he has that little George Costanza ring. And you're like, oh, now you're wearing, like, so you used to wear a hat for fashion. Now you're wearing a hat because you actually are going bald. You know, there is that kind of like a little bit of a difference there. And because of that, yeah, I wear a hat when I'm outside. You know, if it's sunny. If I need to if it's windy and, you know, your hair's blowing around or everything, I will wear a hat for practical purposes. But then more often than not, as soon as I get inside or as soon as the sun goes down, then the hat comes off because there's no more need for UV protection.
Fair. I mean, sometimes I just wear a hat to control my hair inside.
Yeah. I'm fine with the hair inside. But yeah, it's sort of, you know, you play the game and you make it work.
Yeah. Oh God, I'm just getting chirped from one way or another. All these locals around here.
Apparently, they want to sell you their goods and wares on the street.
It's unbelievable.
It almost sounds like too. There's like in a Oliver Twist style kind of, you know, Victorian England with a bunch of child pickpockets running around.
They're trying their best, but I got the old chain on the wallet, so they'll never catch me.
Oh, fantastic. You got the chain on the wallet. Nothing, no one can beat that. Nothing can stop that.
The pickpocketers, they scowl. They go, damn, they got me this time. Let's get on to our next game of the evening, Cam. It's time we look into one of the last episodes of the season. We're not there yet, but we're almost there, Cam, and it's time for the nightcap.
The Nightcap, a shadowy flight into the dangerous world of a man who does not exist. All we need is 5 minutes to recap this week's episode. Maybe less than 5 minutes, but certainly not more than 5 minutes. We're going to need more than 5 minutes.
A 5-minute recap of this week's episode, White Birds, of Michael Knight's Knight Rider.
I think it was just Nightbird. Yeah, we're talking episode 19, though, of Knight Rider.
No, it was Whitebird.
Whitebird?
Yeah, it was called Whitebird.
Oh, I think you put an S at the end of it. Anyways, doesn't matter. Yeah, we're looking at episode 19 of Knight Rider Season 1. Of course, every single week, we go down the list, knocking out more episodes in Knight Rider, Cam. 22 episodes in the season, so we actually only have 3 more episodes to go.
3 more. This one's a good one, too.
So, you know, we'll get into it. We only have 5 seconds, and we are putting 5 seconds on the clock.
5 minutes.
5 minutes, sorry. Imagine 5 seconds. We are putting 5 minutes on the clock, and then, we just kind of hope for the best and go for it. Let us know if you have another show you want us to watch in the future. twoceesinapod@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. And I think, you know, we got a couple of things on the back burner, but, you know, it looks like we could have another 22-ish episode show in our future, Cam. You're going to be kicking this week off.
That's correct.
And you're ready to go.
3, 2, 1. Boom. All right. White Birds opens up with a lawyer in a lawyer's office where the possibly assistant is led out of the office and grabbed by the Department of Justice as she holds a briefcase, which apparently was filled with counterfeit cash. Stevie Mason, or Stephanie Mason, is the lady, as Michael Knight learns as he looks at a newspaper, as he seems very familiar with the name itself. Turns out Stevie's boss is a major counterfeiter in the area, and Michael has very vivid memories of Stevie, and we're not sure why at this point. So Michael picks her up from the jail. She has no idea who he is, but he seems to know who she is. She asks, "How do you know me?" He goes, "Oh, I'm from the system for crime," or something like that. And she just goes ahead and believes him and says, "I'll take you back to the apartment," blindly trusting him. He takes her back to the apartment, And next thing you know, partially to protect her, partially out of a love interest, we learn that Stephanie used to be married to Michael before he was Michael Knight. Because if you remember correctly, he had the facial surgery several years back, however long this show has been going on for. Next up, Michael picks her up from the apartment because he dropped her off there. They get in a little bit scuffle, but she recognizes his voice and is surprised when Michael Knight calls her Stevie, as she says, "That's a name from my past. How did you possibly know?" They get in their car and they drive away, and they end up getting chased by two people who are suspected to be the people who are the counterfeiters, because if the Department of Justice is after her, it likely means they're trying to shut her up so she doesn't snitch on her boss. Michael arrives with Stevie in a cabin after they escape a very quick pursuit into a cabin in the woods where they meet with Devin. Devin sees no conflict of interest with this mission going on here, but lets Michael know that the DOJ is likely going to pursue her if she becomes a snitch. Anyway, after that, they go into a little bit of love scene in the woods where disaster strikes. Cam, I'll jump it off from here.
Yeah, okay. Disaster strikes. I think you might be a little bit early in your recap there.
I was at 22 minutes, but...
Okay, because I think you're missing the big thing. Did you hit that where they're walking through the field and...
That's when the disaster strikes.
That's when the disaster strikes, right? So Devin goes to visit Michael Knight for breakfast, and he assures that despite being shot, Stephanie will be fine.
So she was shot by the bad guys.
There you go, see? So yeah, despite being shot, he assures that Stephanie will be fine. And yeah, like you were saying, with this whole I have no clue how the Department of Justice works, this whole counterfeiting thing or whatever, but Devin kind of, Knight kind of realized that this bad guy, Cole, seems to be almost untouchable in some kind of legal way. Michael Knight wants to return to the home life, walk away from all of this, but Devin tells him it's not that simple. We also hear a story about one time when Devin had fallen in love himself, but had to walk away from that woman. Then Devin drops a bomb on us. After doing some research about Stephanie, it turns out that she was arrested twice for solicitation in Las Vegas. Michael Knight doesn't believe it. I'm sure it can't be real. Michael Knight goes to visit this Cole guy, the boss, in an effort for him to call somebody that we can trace. He takes the bait, but unfortunately we can't trace the call, and the name Anthony Sola keeps coming up. Another name for us to remember. Back at the hospital, Michael Knight visits Stephanie, and she seems to be fine. She's helpless, but fine. By now, she's out of the hospital, though, and when she hears the claim about the solicitation, she obviously denies it, and Michael Knight and we believe her. Devin pulls up the arresting record, and it turns out that the arresting officer on both counts is the same guy who was following us in a car earlier. See, it's all coming together. It wouldn't be an episode of Knight Rider without a couple dirty cops. Stephanie calls Cole, her boss, and agrees to meet with him, playing into our plan once again. So Knight and Stephanie arrive at the cabin for the setup right when the dirty cops show up. The dirty cops empty a full clip into Kit. Obviously, it doesn't do any damage. The car tries to drive away. It crashes, it flips, and the cops come to arrest the bad guys. But not before Michael Knight gets the info about where Cole and the other top boss, I guess the Sola guy, are getting away. So he's en route to the airport, stopping him from getting away. And Michael Knight hits a big jump, crashes through the getaway plane, big explosion, sirens fill the air. Back at the ranch, Knight and Stephanie walk and talk. Stephanie will be in witness protection. We end with a kiss between the lovers as they say their final goodbyes, and a single tear falls from their eyes. Back at the cabin, there's broken glass everywhere after being shot up. Knight goes to take a drive, but before he can, Kit tells him to look in the glove compartment where he'll find Stephanie's necklace that Knight gave her many years ago. Wow.
Would you look at that? Wow. Just kicking it off in the nick of time.
Oh my god, I barely got that in there at the end. That's exactly right.
Good job.
We almost forgot that Michael Knight was Michael Long with a previous face. We almost forgot that.
It did throw me off for a second.
That he kind of gave up this life of whatever. But yeah, Stephanie, Stevie. They were the fun little behind the scenes would be that David Hasselhoff and the woman who played Stevie, her name is Catherine Hickland, were engaged at this time, and then were married for 5 years after this.
Oh, well, that's That is a fun little behind the scenes.
Little behind the scenes there. The two were married for like 5 years or something, got divorced, and I think he was husband number 2 for her, and she was wife number 1. So, there you go.
Good to know. Good to know.
Another great episode, Cam. But we really need to figure out what the next show is going to be. I have given you options, and I said, "Hey, man, look at any of these options," and you said, "Sounds great." And then I heard,
"Sounds great,"
very little to nothing back.
Because I'm trying to watch all the seasons before I give you my review.
Right. You're watching, 4 seasons of 4 different or a season of 4 different shows, with the hopes that what you can get like pre-knowledge into them.
That's it.
Okay. Trying to stack the cards in your favor.
Yeah, I'd like to get an idea of what I'm going to invest myself in for 22 episodes.
Okay. By watching all 22 episodes.
Yeah, that is the plan.
Yeah, that makes sense. Oh well.
All right.
Love to hear from you.
Let's get in the last game of the evening here.
Sure. What do you think it is?
It is a game where we Donald Trump the world and look at all the fake news in the world to determine what is real and what is wrong. Headline or asinine, everyone.
Hey.
Headline or asinine. Headline or asinine.
Fantastic. Headlines are out there. Think about this as your normal kind of talk show late night segment where they go over headlines. Very popular style of comedy. But Cam, where ours really sets it apart, we have a great name. Headline or asinine.
Yes, sir, and I'll kick us off for the day.
Sure.
All right. Man who paid $28 million for space travel with Jeff Bezos drops out due to a busy schedule.
How busy can your schedule be? Mainly because I saw Jeff Bezos on the penis ship. The whole thing is like 25 minutes. Like, how do you not have 25 minutes to spare?
I imagine there has to be training beforehand and everything.
Okay. It seems like a large chunk of dough to spend and then not go. That being said, though, if you have 28 million to kill, 28 million is nothing. And I'll say that about the clients we get at work sometimes, right? They'll talk about knocking off $15,000 from their wedding or from their event. And when you're spending $125,000 for your wedding, you don't need a $15,000 reduction, right? Because that's probably fucking pocket change you in the first place. So I'd love to know more info about how rich this guy is. That being said, though, I would almost be disappointed. I $28 million to go to space. You didn't really go to space. They kind of hung up there for a minute and then came back down. Like, if somebody's like, no, you're going to space, I want to at least go around the Earth. I want to dock at the International Space Station. Do something. Just kind of barely exiting orbit and then coming back down. That's not space. That's just kind of like, you're skydiving from a little bit higher. Right? So maybe he was pissed off that he was misled. He was like, I'm going to pay $28 million to go to space. And they're, okay, so we're going to hit this altitude, then come right back down. And he's like, oh, no, I thought $28 million included, like, we get to walk around, we get to take some pictures. So maybe he was just kind of pissed off by the entire thing and kind of used this as an excuse. I would love to hear the story about how this kind of all came to be. So I'm going to say it's a headline.
This is a headline, but the details are still very vague as the person who's going to be going to space. It's, I believe he was in banking, as it is, but the name is actually anonymous. So the
Wait, are you talking about actual anonymous? Like the actual anonymous?
It was the anonymous.
Wow. That's a big get for Bezos.
They haven't mentioned why he was so busy, if there's any particular reason why he was bailed out. But yeah, apparently it is a very baller move to say, I'm too busy to go to space. One thing to think about. So maybe it was just a big flex. So what they ended up doing, because they had an extra seat, and just so you know, that money did not go directly to Jeff Bezos. It actually just went to a charity. So interesting that they raised that much money for the ticket, but didn't actually go in anyone's pockets, but the tax credits. And that's why no one ever pays taxes, people. Anyway, what they ended up doing was finding the youngest person and the oldest person to be in the same shuttle to ever go to space, so they could have the largest gap. So I'm not sure if you followed the news on this. They ended up getting a retired astronaut as well as like an 18-year-old kid, therefore allowing for the largest gap and kind of setting just kind of a arbitrary world record for we had the oldest and youngest person in the same shuttle and go to quote-unquote space.
Who knows? Bezos could be looking at more kind of oldest, youngest records. Maybe, you know, I picture like a small town's yearly parade that has like the oldest person in the town and the youngest person in the town, all every single year. You know, on there together. You know, you have this like old person carrying a fresh baby.
It's an idea. It is an idea. I mean, now he has so much time in his hands, so.
Yeah. That was great. That was great. Way to go, Anonymous. It's nice to see you making some, actual like appearances, some actual FaceTime, because usually you're just kind of back there tweeting a lot.
Yeah, making dumb videos.
Yeah.
All right, Cammy boy, hit me one.
Okay, going here for you, Cam. We all quit. Burger King employees quit by writing their message on a giant sign.
That is a good way to go out, and especially if you're making minimum wage, and maybe your manager is like, "I'm going to quit," just so you know. Do you guys all want to do it with us? And they're like, "Sorry, you said that we can get unemployment for how much a week?" They're like, "About the same." They're like, "And we're working here." They go, "That is correct," and that's the problem with America today, Cam. Stimulus checks, everybody, get your stimulus checks. They're free. Anyway. Yeah, I mean, this is the place you do it, right? You don't do this at Amazon because they pay you too much money and they sell your soul. Burger King, they're paying you minimum, and you can probably find the exact same job at McDonald's. So why the hell not walk out? Headline.
This is a headline, Cam. That's a good point. One of the complaints coming from Amazon factories is that they're being paid too much.
That's what they tell me.
That's all. Literally every single news I've heard has been the working conditions are too comfortable. But no, Cam, you're all right. This is a headline. This is a story coming out of Lincoln, Nebraska, where a fed-up staff walked out on the job, and what better way to do so by writing it on a giant sign 50 feet up in the air. You can picture the signs that are outside of a fast food place and like that. The sign just simply read, "We all quit. Sorry for the inconvenience." The staff communally, they all wrote this message on the last day of their work after telling their managers that they all wanted to quit because of the poor conditions of the restaurant, broken air conditioning, understaffing issues, etc. Normal kind of crap. The store's manager, Rachel Flores, said that she quit over the sweltering conditions in the kitchen that would sometimes get to be like the mid-30s Celsius. Even recently, she was hospitalized while on shift for dehydration. And when she told the boss she had to leave, the boss told her to quit acting like a baby. The staff arrived early for work that day and changed the sign around 6 a.m. When the owner called a few hours later asking them to change the sign back, Flores responded by saying, "Sorry, we're a little short-staffed right now." The manager came to the store a few hours later and changed the sign to say, "Now hiring flexible schedules."
Well, there we go. It looks like the problem was solved on its own.
Maybe.
Okay, let's crack on to the next one, Cam. Irish gymnasts test Olympics anti-sex beds.
Now, I have heard about this in an effort to stop all these athletes from banging. They've made the bed frames out of cardboard, so really it can only kind of hold one person lying down. I feel bad for the weightlifters. Hopefully they have some reinforced cardboard. But yeah, so they're saying it's due to they're doing it to be like a little more environmentally friendly because you can just recycle the cardboard afterwards. But then the underlying tone is like, no, we're doing it so you guys don't fraternize together and do all that sorts of things. That's funny. That's funny because it's like the extents they're going to keep the Olympics safe, they should just not be having the Olympics. There's literally tens of thousands of people in Tokyo and Japan saying no Olympics, and they're like, nah, we're still gonna do it. No fans. We're gonna have cardboard beds. And nobody's going to
and don't forget about all the condoms that are supposed to be not used, but as souvenirs.
and the condoms that we don't want you to use. It's like it's a weird situation down there. Clearly, the money is what's important. Although I always thought that one of the appeals of the Olympics for the host city was the amount of internal revenue it generates. But without people traveling from all over the world, there would be no revenue. So
Just all cost.
This is 100% cost. So I feel bad for the people of Tokyo and Japan who are probably going to suffer a quality of life loss due to the government being hundreds of millions, if not $1 billion, sort of spent on these sorts of things, and then absolutely no chance to get it back unless you do some kind of other world games that you can use the similar facilities. So yeah, obviously somebody was going to test it at one point. I know the big story, like the day before the ceremonies, with that athletes started testing positive, all these sorts of things. So of course somebody was eventually going to break this rule, and I like to think that the cardboard bed also broke. So I'm going to say it's a headline.
This is a headline where an Irish gymnast was jumping up and down on the bed, posted a video on social media to more so disprove that there is no such thing. These are not. The idea was that they were going to be cardboard beds made of like recycled materials that would break upon two people. Not a real thing because that's just a stupid idea because you can't just. What are you going to do? Ask everyone their weight coming into it and build a specialty bed? No, that's stupid. Make the same beds for everybody and just hope they hold. So yeah, there's going to be fraternizing. There's going to be spread of COVID, and lots of gymnasts saying spread it one way or another.
That's fun. That's funny. Actually, I think if there's any place in the world where they can ask you your weight, I think it would be the Olympics. I would say, I can safely say, I bet every single athlete is weighed.
Oh, I'm sure they weigh, but it's like, okay, let me get you a custom bed based on your weight.
Well, yeah, they have like chunks of because there's the cardboard bed for under 100, and then under 150, under 200. They have a bunch of beds just made for a bunch of
bad idea.
Bad idea. Okay, Cam, I go in here for you. Headliner Asinine: teenage driver avoids squirrel while crashing into 350-year-old home.
Oh, this is definitely a vegan move in my opinion. It's don't hit the squirrel. I think what's the rule of thumb is like if it's smaller than a dog, kill it, and you're in the car. You ever heard this one?
That is, yeah. If it's smaller than a dog, you can kill it. So the cats are fair game as far as I'm concerned.
Well, like I think if you're in a car, it's like that is the rule of thumb that I was taught. Some people might be like any animal is yada yada, and you should try and avoid all insects on the way up to Muskoka. But sometimes that's not possible. Now, could I see this happening? Sure, I can. I know many people who are bad drivers probably saw the squirrel and decided to make a big veering turn, realized that they hardly know how to drive, and just put it right to the front windshield, the front window of the actual $350-year-old home, and just went, "Good thing the squirrel's okay. I'll see you guys later." Headline.
Sorry, what'd you say? Somebody's hammering literally directly beside you.
Yeah, this art form doesn't get enough respect.
Jesus Christ! What the art form of being in a noisy environment?
I don't know what to tell you. It's I don't make the decisions in this country.
Yeah, you don't make the decisions, but the fans certainly know whose audio quality they prefer, Cam, because that is a headline. Jesus Christ. Okay, I can't even fucking... Jesus. Okay. I'm taking off my headphones, Cam. I cannot hear you because the sound of whatever the fuck's happening is deafening to my ears. This is a story that happened in Hingham, Massachusetts, sometime last week, where a teenager swerved into a home at about 6:35 a.m. When with their nice 2014 Audi Q7, and they drove directly into the living room of a cottage that was built in the year 1650. Nobody was hurt, thankfully. The people who lived there were actually upstairs at the time, so they weren't even in the room. The teenager who crashed in the car is fine. But you look at the photos, and the car was almost entirely in the living room itself. And like the story wasn't bad enough, to add insult to injury, the home was built by Abraham Lincoln's great-grandfather. You literally can't make this up.
You can't make this up. I think that might be our the last one of the day. I hate to cut it short, but now we got a wood delivery coming on here. There's motorcycles everywhere, so now might be a good time to say 2 headlines today. 4 headlines next time.
Well, I can keep going. I'm in a nice recording environment, Cam. I didn't know it was such an issue for you to get into one yourself.
I thought I'd be fine at this time in the morning.
You know,
but hey.
hop in your car, close the doors. Something like that. We'll work on that for next week, folks. Let us know, twoceesinapod@gmail.com. Do you like all the distractions constantly on Cam's side and never on mine? Let us know, twoceesinapod@gmail.com. We'd love to hear all the insults that you just want to hurl towards Cam LeClaire.
Yeah, don't know what to tell you. Hey, people never forget, crowing at the first dawn is a privilege reserved for the highest-ranking rooster. So next time you hear it, just remember that's the king shit. I'll talk to you next week, hopefully in better quality.
Take care, folks.
Continuing tonight on 2 C's in a Pod. 96.7 on your...
Two C's in a pod, 2 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 C's just like 2 C's in a pod, 2 C's because we're 2 C's in a pod, just like 2 C's in a pod, 2 C's in a pod at gmail.com.